Hello and welcome to another doll repainting video on my channel, and this one is a Halle Bailey Ariel inspired doll. So let's get on to the tutorial. For this doll I chose a Clawdeen Wolf. I'm going to remove her from the package, remove all her clothes, and then we're going to cut off her legs, and I go from the back because it's easier to get to the peg. Get them together with an elastic because I want them more closer together. I'm going to take epoxy and I'm going to start filling in the joints where her hips are. And I'm slowly working the epoxy inside and pushing it with a tool. And I'm going to smooth it out. Also, water helps a lot in smoothing out the epoxy. So I'm building it slowly. I'm going to let it cure. And once it's cured, I'm going to be able to remove the elastic. And I'm going to take some wire. And this is going to help out to create the rest of the tail. Just seeing how long I need it to be. And also just bear in mind that we're also going to have the fins, so I didn't make it that long, or else her tail would have been huge. Then I'm mixing more epoxy and filling in the gap between the legs. I really suck because I always forget that when I'm filming that I should be on camera. I'm going to put the wire inside, let it cure. I let it cure over for 24 hours, and then I took some aluminum foil to make the rest of the tail, so I don't use a lot of epoxy, so she's also lighter. And I'm working slowly and making the tail and blending the two parts together. Once she's all nice and smooth, I'm gonna let her cure for another 24 hours. Then I'm gonna sketch out the fin, how big I want it on a piece of paper, and this way it will help me match the two fins as we need two of them. And I'm going to start making it with wire. And this is the first time that I'm using Angelina film. I didn't film it, but basically what I did is I just ironed two parts together and they created this really nice foily effect. So here are my fins, and I'm going to stick them into the rest of the tail and again keep them in place using epoxy sculpt. And then I'm going to do the fins around her waist as well. And then for the scales, I got sequins. I cut them into 4 parts. And using glue, I started gluing them one by one. I painted the fin around her waist before I finished the tail, so I don't get any paint on the rest of the fins. And what I found very helpful is this nail tool, which is for rhinestones, and it helped me pick one by one the sequins and place them. I'm going to take some aluminum foil to make the shape of her breasts so I can make her bralette, and this way it will help me to take off the polymer clay without ruining the doll and putting it in the oven with the mold, let's say, and it doesn't lose shape. Then I'm going to move on to cutting off her hair. And I cut it as close to the head as possible, dunk her into hot water and pop the head off. And using tweezers, I'm going to start pulling the hair from the neck hole. Slowly working it round and round and pulling the plugs out. Using acetone, I'm going to remove the factory paint. And I've also cut off her ears, which again, I didn't film properly. Sorry guys, I just took razors and cut them off. Where she has the holes, because I reroot my dolls very thickly, the holes won't be visible. I rerouted the doll, and I made my own rerouting tool with a needle and the handle for a razor. So here she is rerouted. I'm going to put some liquid glue inside to keep the hair in place. I'm going to take a straw to curl her front bit to create her fringe. Hold it together with hairpins, and I'm going to boil wash it so the hair lies flat and also the front bit gets a shape. Then I'm going to put her into a sock and put pins around to secure it. Seal her with Mr. Super Clear. And I'm going to start working on her face up. Taking some colors to do some blushing and highlighting. Some contouring with brown. Also sculpting her nose a little bit to give her more definition. Make her a little bit more realistic. Going into the nostrils with my pencil. Blushing her little cheeks. And I'm just using chalk pastels. I don't even know what brand they are. So moving on to her eyes, and I want to keep the shape pretty round, like a Disney princess. I mean, it's Ariel, even though she's inspired by Halle Bailey. And I'm also reapplying some of the colors to make them more intense. Some red lipstick. And I'm adding some lines between the lips to give them more dimension. So they're not just a flat color, highlighting a little bit. And moving on to creating the irises. Oh, and I forgot to mention before, I started with a brown pencil and then I'm going over everything with black to intensify because it's much easier to erase. Going into her sclera, making it white. Again, some extra highlights on the lips. And I'm going layer by layer. Every time I add more Mr. Super Clear, I intensify some colors and I also build them up. Now I'm creating her eyeliner with black. And going into the iris, and I'm taking some dark blue on the outside. And then slowly blending it with some lighter blue. And I wanted to keep Ariel's original eye color. Creating the iris, the dark bit, highlighting a little bit on the iris. Intensifying the white a little bit more. Creating her eyebrows, which are my worst thing, I think, eyebrows. Then I'm gonna add some Liquitex High Gloss Varnish on the irises, the lips. And then I'm gonna add the highlights on the eyes with some acrylic paint, and I'm going again over it with High Gloss Varnish. Adding some eyelashes, and I like using gem glue to glue them on. It dries fast, so you can manipulate them and they stick really quick, they don't move. I'm cutting the lashes a little bit to give them more shape and make them a little bit short in the front bit and on the outer corner a little bit long. Her hair got ruined, so I'm gonna fix her fringe again with some hot water, but trying not to get it on the lashes. I'm gonna blush her body a little bit and then glue the bralette on with, again, using gem glue. So here's her hair. I'm gonna cut the fringe a little bit to make it shorter. Thin it out using a brow blade. Well, again, you cannot see because I always go off camera. And here's the doll with her face up. So I'm just gonna pop the head back on the body. And our little girl is ready. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment and I'll leave my Instagram in the description box below.